Welcome to Train Sim World, an immersive and highly detailed rail simulation featuring authentic routes and trains from around the world. This is the training center. Here you can learn about how to navigate and interact with the world, as well as how to operate the many trains. Let's start by looking around. Find each of the markers and look at them.
E aí pessoal, beleza? Aqui é o Finger 4 e hoje nós vamos jogar mais um jogo aqui da Xcloud, o Trem 4. É um jogo de trem, tá me ensinando a olhar. Ele falou que aqui é andar, apertar RS ele abaixa. É o centro de treinamento, tá ensinando o comando básico. Y para tentar, dois para ver o que tá acontecendo. Para andar e achar os trens, olha os trens aí. R para ver o mapa. Pegar o mapa? O mapa é um monte de risco. É jornada operando os trens, está começando. Eu posso voltar para aprender mais, não sei o quê. Continuar para ver. Esse começo era muito básico, né? Comandos básicos. Mas eu quero ver os comandos de pilotar o
This module will cover the on-screen overlay, known as the heads-up display or HUD, that is shown when you are in control of a train. Climb up the ladder into the train and then sit in the indicated seat.
Tem que ir aqui e sentar aqui. Aí.
Welcome to the most important seat in the train. While sitting here, you'll be in full control.
Ele vira a cabeça 360.
Before you think about moving the train, though, let's look at the HUD overlay that's appeared on the bottom right. The heads-up display is a guide to what your train is doing. The main part of the HUD is the speed display. A white bar will appear around the outside to show your current speed, and the red mark indicates your maximum permitted speed.
E a faixa vermelha indica idade.
This is the direction display. An arrow will indicate forward, reverse, and neutral directions. This is the power display. A number will indicate what position the power or throttle control is in.
Ele tá falando ali, ó. Condução à direita.
These are the brake indicators. The exact ones shown will vary by train and will often be visible in the train itself on various gauges. They tell you what's happening in the braking system. The most important one is the BC or brake cylinder. If that's reading 0, then your brakes are released. Anything else, and brakes are applied and you won't be able to move. Every train can have small variations in the HUD unique to the way it works, but they will mostly look the same. As you learn to control new trains, study the HUD and learn how it helps you operate it.
São pequenas diferenças.
If you want to see this again, you can rerun this training module at any time.
Posso voltar nesse modo de treino a qualquer hora. Movendo trem, agora vai.
In this training module, you're going to look at making the train move, and then bringing it to a stop again. While many trains have different controls and are operated in different ways, there are basically always 3 controls that are common and are required to move the train. The reverser sets the direction between forwards and backwards. The brakes are used to slow or stop the train. The throttle controls how fast the train accelerates. In this train, the throttle and brakes are controlled by a combined power and brake handle. We want to move the train forwards, so move the reverser to that position. Pull the power brake handle toward you to release the brakes and apply power.
Anda. Máxima velocidade 90 milhas. Umas raspadas. Segundo ele vai
Now
mais
that you've
rápido.
reached your target speed, you can move the throttle control back to 0. The train will then coast on level ground, and the train will only slow down very gradually.
Ele tá pro 0. Dá pra parar mais rápido, não?
While the specifics of operating brakes vary from train to train, the basic process of stopping is fundamentally the same. Bring this train to a complete stop by moving the power brake handle into the braking range. The amount of braking you'll need to apply also varies depending on whether you're going uphill or downhill, and how heavy your train is.
Já fiz isso.
Stopping a train is one of the biggest challenges of controlling them, particularly stopping them in the right place. That concludes this module. Restart the module to learn the steps again, or move on to the next module.
Tava falando ali que o trem tá no Xbox Game Pass. Quem sabe?
In this training module, you'll be learning basic passenger operations in a BR Class
Como eu tô
323
jogando aqui
electrical
o
multiple
modo
unit.
tutorial, né?
When you are ready, climb aboard the...
Eles
Take a
podem
seat in the driver's
jogar
position.
no modo normal, pular essa parte.
To unlock the control desk, insert the master key.
Ah, tem que inserir a chave antes.
Great work. To allow passengers to board, you will need to open the doors. Keep the doors open to allow enough time for passengers to board the
Frente.
train.
Ah, tem que apertar aqui, ó. Ele já tá indo. É pra ter trancado a porta antes, né? Tá aqui mais rápido pra ver. Dá pra virar 360 que nem aquele filme de terror lá. O pescoço do cara não tem osso. Caramba, mano. Hein? De máxima é 90, tô quase. Até um ventiladorzinho aqui, ó.
mas eu passei de 100. Só para emergência. Aí. Aí, com
Now that the
passageiros.
passengers have boarded the train, set the reverser to forward.
Aí.
Apply power.
Tô em segunda.
This train has a combined brake and throttle handle. Apply a small amount of brake to gently bring the train to a stop at the next station.
Parar no local correto. Falta. Não, ainda não, ainda tá longe. Tá longe ainda, mano. Parar quando tiver faltando quantos metros será? Quando tiver faltando 100 metros já dá? Agora eu tô bem devagar, né? Vai faltando 100 metros eu frear. 50 metros.
Good work. This time, open the doors on the opposite side.
Tem que abrir desse lado. Aqui tem um sensor de abrindo a porta. O botão azul.
Close the doors. Reach the next destination unguided.
Acelerar com tudo agora pro próximo. Caramba, hein? Diminui um pouco porque eu tô no máximo aqui. Ah, pera aí. Parou, hein? Parou certo. Esse lado? Esse lado. É o botão vermelho, não era o botão azul, cara? Ah, o de cima é o que fecha.
Great job. That concludes training on passenger operations.
Hum. Aqui então é um jogo pra gente ficar viajando aí de trem.
In this training module, you will be learning how to change driving ends of a train. During this
Mudar o
brief
destino
introduction,
final.
you will be taken through how to set up a cab for driving, shut down a cab, and how to change which train cab is the lead. Firstly, we need to set up this cab for driving. Set the master key to on to unlock the control desk. The reverser is used to set the direction of travel. Apply some...
Vai começar. Aí agora para 600 metros o destino, né? De próxima estação. Então, nos 500 metros já vou jogar em primeira aqui, ó. Faltando uns 300 metros, vou jogar em freio. Ainda tá muito longe para frear. Aí faltando 100 metros dá pra frear, acho.
When ready, apply a small amount of braking force to gently bring this train to a stop.
Tem que eu mesmo trocar o negócio? Ah, não é possível. Que trem. Ah, eu vou parar no local. Tá escrito. Não é pra ir a pé. Não, mas é engraçado que dá pra sair do trem, né? Ah, então vamos. Mais um pouco. Aí. Passei um pouco, hein?
Set the brake throttle handle to neutral.
Torno neutro. Aqui, neutro. É neutro. E põe no off. Depois no off.
Remove the master key.
Aí tirei a chave
Well done.
Chave
You have
mestre.
successfully shut down this cab. Now travel to the cab at the other end of the train. Sit in the driver's seat.
Ah, tem que. Dá pra ir por aqui? Ah, é. Quando eu vou pro outro lado, eu tenho que ir
Now activate
pra
the
outra
new
ponta
cab
do
for
trem,
driving,
né?
following the same steps as before.
Tá, colocar Master Key. Tá pra frente. Vambora.
Well
Outro
done.
lado.
You now know how to change ends in a train. That concludes this training module.
Mudando o caminho.
This module will go over the fundamentals of operating junctions to change the path your train will take, and how to navigate using the map. Most rail lines around the world are
Navegar
controlled
usando o
remotely
mapa.
by a signaling center or dispatcher. From the perspective of the train, the direction taken is automatic. But within yards and depots, many small and frequent movements are required. This makes remote control of the track impractical. In these locations, the direction taken is manually controlled.
Em alguns lugares a direção
You can set junctions by either walking up to
fica
them and
manualmente.
interacting with them, or going to the 2D map and changing them from there. Let's change this junction by hand first. Walk over to it and change it by operating the lever. Notice how the point blades move on the track. Try moving it a few times so that you can see how it works. Let's head over to the train, and then we can look at the map.
Eu mudo a direção, né? Ah, droga. Deixa eu
Open the
sozinho.
map and change the indicated junctions.
O mapa fala que eu tô aqui. Tem um monte de risquinho. O RT faz um. Dá pra dar o zoom com o LT. E o RT, quer dizer. Pra ver mais perto. Ah. Ele quer que eu entre no mapa por aqui. Eu tô aqui. Ah, tá. Abre o mapa. Foca no switch. Dá pra mudar o switch pelo mapa.
Your junctions are set correctly. Let's get the train moving and see it all working. If you can't remember how to make the train start and stop, there is a training module you can rerun to remind yourself. We want to move the train forwards, so move the reverser to that position.
RT para... Ah, tá.
Now that you've reached your target speed, you can move the throttle control back to 0. The train will then coast on level ground, and the train will only slow down very gradually.
Ele reduz bem gradualmente a velocidade, né? Pesado o trem, né? Então o RT e o RB Acelera e desacelera para eu não precisar ficar indo
Bring
aqui
this
toda
train
hora.
to a complete stop by moving the power brake handle into the braking range.
Aí já tá no braking range.
That concludes this module. All the junctions in the training center
Concluiu
are
esse
manual,
módulo.
so you can go anywhere you wish using the map and by changing junctions manually. If you want to practice, go to Explore on Foot in the training center. You'll find trains dotted around, and you can practice driving them and moving them around the yard. Don't forget, you can always rerun this training module later if you can't remember any of what's been covered.
E foi o treino, né? Trem de diesel.
In this training module, you're going to learn to drive a diesel-electric locomotive and how the controls differ from a multiple unit.
Nossa, aqui é diferente os controles, cara.
This is a BR Class 66 diesel-electric locomotive, typically used for freight operations in the United Kingdom. The reverser sets the direction between forwards and backwards. There are 3 types of brakes in this locomotive, and which one you use will depend on the situation. We'll learn more about the different brake types in future training modules. The throttle controls how fast the train accelerates. We want to move the train forwards, so move the reverser in that direction.
Pra frente aqui.
Keep the brake control and release until you can see the brake pipe control needles are reading 5 bar, pointing upwards.
LB.
This will release the brakes fully. Watch the brake cylinder, or BC gauge, to see it gradually reduce to 0, which tells you that the brakes are now fully released and you can move the train. Apply some throttle to get the train moving.
RT.
As you apply power, notice the amp bar rising. This is the amount of power being fed into the traction motors. Now that you've reached your target speed, you can move the throttle control back to 0. The train will then coast on level ground, and the train will only slow down very gradually.
Ele acelera e quando você não quer mais acelerar. Põe pro 0, que daí ele mantém a velocidade, né?
Brakes in this locomotive are lapped. Rather than directly selecting the brake force with a handle, you use the brake control to add or release braking force. Braking force will be held until you release it, as you did before setting off. Bring this train to a complete stop by holding the brake control in the apply state until you see the brake pipe control needle in the center of your cab desk showing about 4 bar. The amount of braking you'll need to apply also varies depending on whether you're going uphill or downhill, and how heavy your train is. Stopping a train is one of the biggest challenges of controlling them, particularly stopping them in the right place. That concludes this module. Restart the module to learn the steps again, or move on to the next module.
capítulo 1 do que agora? Não é mais treino não, né? Acoplar e desacoplar.
In this training module, you're going to learn how coupling operations are typically performed. Coupling and uncoupling is important both for freight and passenger operations. Different regions and trains have different methods of coupling, but the fundamentals always remain the same. You'll be operating a BR Class 66 locomotive and coupling and uncoupling to mineral wagons, which are typically used for transporting coal,
Vagões de minério.
ores, and other mining products. This locomotive can couple with either Buckeye or hook type couplers. Before you couple, you should inspect them and ensure that they're in the correct position. Attempting to couple when couplers are in the incorrect position can cause damage or derailment.
Se eu tentar acoplar no lugar errado, dá pau. É do outro lado.
Now let's head into the locomotive and couple to the wagons.
Agora ele fala pra eu sentar, mas como que abre?
You'll be backing up to the wagons, so set the reverser to the reverse position.
Vou abrir o mapa.
Keep the brake control and release until you can see the brake pipe control needles are reading 5 bar, pointing upwards. This will release the brakes fully.
5 bar.
Watch the brake cylinder, or BC gauge, to see it gradually reduce to 0, which tells you that the brakes are now fully released and you can move the train. The external camera provides improved visibility when reversing. Slowly, come to a stop just in front of the wagons. You need to be close enough to allow coupling. Ideally, the buffers should be touching.
Aqui tem que segurar o brete. Caramba, eu não tô conseguindo brecar esse negócio não. Dá pra ir pro outro lado não? Hum. Tá muito certo isso aqui não, hein? Se eu não mexer isso aqui, não tem como andar. Aqui não funcionar, não tem como andar, velho. Tem que ir pra lá, então eu tô no lugar errado. Então eu tenho que ir pra frente e voltar, mas não deixa.
In this training module, you're going to learn how coupling
Vai
operations are
logo,
typically
cara.
performed. Coupling and uncoupling is important both for freight and passenger operations. Different regions and trains have different methods of coupling, but the fundamentals always remain the same.
Beleza, pode falar, mas não tem
You'll be operating
deixa
a BR
parado.
Class 66 locomotive and coupling and uncoupling
Deixa,
to
me
mineral
deixa
wagons,
travado aqui no
which are
bagulho.
typically used for transporting coal, ores, and other mining products. This locomotive can couple with either Buckeye or Hook type couplers. Before you couple, you should inspect them and ensure that they're in the
Eu
correct
tenho que ir pra
position.
cá.
Attempting to couple when couplers are in the incorrect position can cause damage or derailment.
Ah, então tem que ir pra cá. Aqui. Tá. Uma reta. Certo? É isso. Vai pra cá e vai pra cá.
Now let's head into the locomotive and couple to the wagons. You'll be backing up to the wagons, so set the
Simulador tem que
reverser
deixar
to the
no
reverse
5 aqui.
position.
Dá esse aqui pro reverso.
Keep the
Abaixo.
brake control and release until you can see the brake pipe control needles are reading 5 bar, pointing upwards. This will release the brakes fully.
É. LP.
Watch the brake cylinder, or BC gauge, to see it gradually reduce to 0, which tells you that the brakes are now fully released and you can move the train.
Já tá pro 0. Aí. E agora como eu sei se engatou essa merda? É que não. É o copiloto. Brake cylinder. Ele fala para cilindro. Fala pro cilindro do breque conectar no zero na HUD. Onde tem zero aqui? Já tá no zero. Bom, é isso aí. Espero que vocês tenham gostado. Se quem gostar de pilotar um trem pode entrar aqui e continuar tentando aprender. Que é nessa parte que eu tô apanhando, né? Tá pro zero. Beleza? Falou! Pior que eu nem consigo ir pro outro lado.